Hi everyone, thank you a lot for being here to attend my final presentation of the master thesis. The title of my thesis is Improving Parent-Child Communication, Creating a Relaxed Conversation Atmosphere During the COVID-19 Quarantine Period. The whole presentation consists of 6 chapters. Please follow me to learn more about the project. First, why I set up this project. The COVID-19 outbreak has caused worldwide concerns since the end of last year. To minimize infection risk, people are forced to shift from traditional work mode to online work. The education industry is inevitably affected by the coronavirus. For instance, students in China were asked to learn at home through online courses from early March this year. They face a big challenge, given the rapid changes and uncertainties that occur every day. In the new context, with more stress under the influence of enormous life changes due to the COVID-19, students might experience more difficulties. Home-based online school education amplifies students' deficiencies lacking self-motivation and self-discipline, making them in great need of parents' supervision and academic assistance. As a designer, I have the opportunity to frame the design space, encode the contextual components of the system, and generate a solution to the identified challenges through the understanding of the new context. The project is aiming to explore how to help Chinese families with school-aged children. In this project is from 9 to 12 years old specifically, to make the transition from traditional classroom to home online education under the stress of COVID-19 during the quarantine period. Based on the project goal, the thesis is going to work on following questions. What are the main challenges of students and their parents in the context of online education during the COVID-19 outbreak, and how do they deal with them now? What are their needs in the situation, and how I can bring them a better experience with my design skills? About why I choose China as the design scope. First, I grew up in Chinese culture, which enables me a deep understanding of the Chinese education, and it's easier for me to find participants and interview them in the later stage. Second, compared to Western countries with well-established instructional distance education, China's online education industry started relatively late. It means that Chinese families may face more significant challenges in home education with limited training and guidelines. Third, China's online education market has great potential for development. With the Chinese parents paying more attention to education, the industry has been booming even as China's overall economy has come under downward pressure. And why is it children from 9 to 12 years old? First, children face more difficult academic knowledge at this stage than younger students, while compared with junior students, they still lack enough self-control and understanding ability to study independently. Simultaneously, as they are about to enter puberty, their attitudes towards study and life are probably affected by some psychological changes, which means they could encounter more difficulties. After setting up the project goal, the second part is about how I get into the context. It includes literature review and user research. Different literature was collected to understand the context, help form a specific design goal, and guide through the design process. Understanding parents' involvement in children's learning is a starting point, following the design principles that can help take into account children's special needs during a particular period. The cultural influence in parenting style is an essential factor because it clarifies some traditional Chinese family education concepts from the current parenting style. And also, the literature on positive parenting and parent-child communication could inspire the design. According to the literature, the essence of Chinese parenting is characterized by two critical indigenous elements of xiao and guan. Xiao refers to training, which incorporates educating or inculcating children in culturally appropriate behaviors. From a Chinese cultural perspective, it can be explained as filial piety. There are four integral aspects of filial piety: respect, appreciation, caring, and obedience. To show appreciation for their parents' love and sacrifice, children must respect and serve their parents. But there are certainly some downsides to such devotion. That is, parents tend to believe if children don't obey their words, they are not filial. Guan means caring for, loving, and governing. It refers to parental care, concern, and involvement are synonymous with firm control and governance of the child. For Chinese people, parents control their children mainly because they want them to succeed, especially in terms of academics. Focusing too much on learning-related issues could make children resistant to talk to parents and lead to a poor parent-child relationship. Accordingly, positive parenting principles aim to help parents prevent severe behavioral, emotional, and developmental problems in children. Also, to enhance the parent-child relationship, parents can spend quality time with children to talk to them and show affection. In a study about the differences between American and Chinese mother-child conversations about shared emotional experiences, it was found that Chinese mothers tend to put much emphasis on repeating the facts and behavioral standards rather than sharing emotional experiences. They often give comments on children's feelings and aim to teach the child a lesson. This leads to the children providing little responses to the mother's inquiries. Therefore, it could be helpful that these parents could elaborate and add on the shared experience according to the children's reactions during a family conversation about memories. Another exciting research on children's perception of parent-child conflict showed that when children rebuild their memories of conflicts with parents, they could perceive it more positively if their internal working models of attachment are secure. This means that if the conflict were resolved quickly and correctly, it would not harm the parent-child relationship and enhance parent-child attachment. From the literature, various challenges are identified when making the transition from traditional school to online education. However, how the challenges differ from literature remains unknown. Therefore, four research questions are formulated to figure this out. The main challenges for children and parents in homeschooling during the quarantine period and how they solve the challenges now. Also, it's valuable to research what's the ideal situation for parents. In total, 9 Chinese parents with school-aged children were interviewed. From the interview, I found that most apparent difference between the challenges parents faced in a normal situation with the challenges they face in the COVID-19 situation is that they can more easily experience emotion management failure when helping the children study. As said by a parent, I get very angry when I see he didn't finish his homework. I'm very emotional and crazy in such a situation. When I lost my patience, I started yelling at him and began to express some negative emotions to him. During the interview, participants began to reflect on their behaviors while answering the questions. 3 interviewees mentioned that through the interview, they realized that they had some behaviors that need to be corrected in educating children, and correspondingly, they had some ideal visions for the future family education. One participant said that, "I hope we can respect each other and communicate equally. We can learn together. I don't want to surprise him with the authority of a parent. I don't want to force him to do things. I want us to be equal. I wish we could talk things together instead of me guiding him as a parent. In addition to understanding parents' ideas, it's also important to know how children perceive the parent-child relationship and communication, how they deal with parent-child conflict, and what they expect from their parents. So children were interviewed to get a complete view of the context. From the interview, children want to get away from the conversation atmosphere, which focuses too much on learning-related issues. They prefer more relaxed topics that can bring them enjoyment and feel the warmth of the family. Parent-child conflicts have brought negative emotions to both children and parents, and this emotion has a worse impact on the family atmosphere during quarantine period, because they need to stay with each other most of the day. Since most children don't know how to resolve the conflict, they usually choose to avoid the problem or wait for their emotions to calm down. This is not an active and healthy approach. And in the situation, children hope that the conversation with their parents can be free from limitations of learning. They want to talk about topics they are interested in or make them look forward to. Carrying out simple creative activities with parents can also make children feel happy and enhance their attachment to their parents. In summary, all the insights from parents and children are integrated into 3 personas. And the open pursuer, who has much time to spend with children at home, with a not too ambitious expectation on children's study, was chosen for this project for further development. Compared with the other 2 personas, the open pursuer is less confined to the traditional strict educational philosophy. They are willing to actively explore new educational concepts and try these methods, which means that the design solutions could be more acceptable for them. And then, based on all the insights from literature and field research, what should be the design goal? That is to provide inspirational ideas for parents to open a positive conversation with the child, therefore to improve parent-child communication and create a relaxed conversation atmosphere during the COVID-19 quarantine period. The next part is about how did I develop a concept based on the design goal. 3 designers from TU Delft and 1 non-designer were invited to participate in a brainstorming session to gain potential design directions. All the participants were provided with enough information that can help them to get into the context quickly. After the ideation generation, all the ideas were clustered and summarized into 5 design directions. Some ideas showed possible way to deal with the conflict and calm down the emotions, while other ideas provide inspirations for how to implement gamification in the design to bring pleasure for parents and children in the communication. There are also ideas present innovative ways of communication that could improve the parent-child relationship. Combining all the insights and ideas, I developed the time travel idea to help provide more inspiration for users to expand communication between children and parents. The idea can help eliminate the constraints of time and space by providing opportunities to travel around. By talking about the past, both parents and children will remember to discover the other person's perspective on things while reflecting on their own behaviors. By imagining the future, parents and children can understand each other's expectations, increasing their mutual understanding and forming a common goal. A cartoon character, Duo, was created to guide the parents and children through the user journey. The first step is to choose the topic and time zone. First, users can choose a communication topic from the 3 topics provided. They can also customize their preferred topic if they like. And then, they can pick a time zone that they want to go. When children and parents set the specific day they want to go to and put their fingers in the designated area at the same time, the time travel journey started. Meanwhile, the users can hear a 2-second sound effect, which is to establish a stronger sense of ritual, allowing children and parents to better understand and feel the concept of time travel. Step 3 is to express their memories or desires through drawing. Users can drag the provided elements to the drawing panel and adjust the size and color according to their needs. Drawing is a creative process. They can feel their creativity and get fun out of the process. The empowerment of creativity can keep people engaged in the activity, especially for the children. Next to the drawing board, the children and parents can write down their moods on that day. This can help users pay more attention to the emotional experience in the following conversations, instead of overly focusing on facts and behaviors. Step 4 is to communicate what they created. According to the topic selected by the users, different communication tips would be provided to help promote better communication in that context. At the end of each conversation, the users will evaluate the conversation experience by answering 2 questions. When their feedback is lower than expected, the topics provided in the first step will be adjusted to meet users' needs better. After the users finished a painting, they can choose to save it in the album if they are satisfied with their works. This makes them feel the ownership of the creations and want to build them better in the long term. When the users use the time machine more than the specific number of times, they will receive commemorative prizes or reward to keep them motivated to use the product. For the children, the sense of accomplishment of getting the badges and the curiosity for the presents would keep them going for more conversations. After finishing the idea, it was tested with target users to see if this really worked in the real context. 4 families were invited to take part in the test, and this picture shows parts of the creations of the participants. From the feedback of children, they like to draw with their parents, but this is not exciting enough for them compared to playing video games. And most of the children would like to go for the reward, and they appreciated the function of the memorial album. For parents, some of them were surprised by the clear memory of their children, or they are happy to see the children's talent in drawing a scenario, because it's difficult for these parents to express their ideas by drawing. They also love the memorial album function, because this reminds them of previous happy memories with their children. They believe the communication tips would help them to open a positive conversation with children. And the last part of the presentation is about what could be the next step. First, the original intention of this design is for Chinese families affected by the epidemic, but now the context has changed. The thesis has the opportunity to provide some inspirations for family education and parent-child communication in other countries and regions that are still keep online education. But it's worth emphasizing that different countries and cultural backgrounds may lead to different educational methods and educational concepts. Therefore, when applying the paper's insights into other contexts, it's necessary to keep the differences that cultural factors may bring in mind. And second, the design goal of the thesis is to improve parent-child communication by creating a relaxed family atmosphere. But this is not only valuable in the quarantine period. It can also be applied in daily life or particular period during which parents and children make a transition in their lives or under extreme pressure. So this could be helpful to be applied in such situations. And that's it. Thank you for listening to the presentation, and don't hesitate to ask me if you have any questions about the project.